am Reverend Shannon. I am one of the program managers for Brownsville Think Tank Matters, which is the parent company for Drum. On the streets, you will mostly see the Drum logo, which stands for Developing Righteous United Movements. I stand with our COO, Cyrus Smith, and also in representation of our founder and CEO, Al Matthew. We are here under the hub of the Mobile Trauma Unit, which is a mobile trauma unit that was assigned to Brownsville Think Tank Matters as a mobile trauma unit for the borough of Brooklyn. We're not limited and relegated to one particular area. So to the families who are here mourning the deaths of their loved ones, we are here to support you. To the family of Emmanuel Sore, who lost his life in this recent mass shooting, we are here to support you. History that hurts also offers history that heals. And we are on the heels of a history, recent history, that has hurt this community and continues to hurt our communities abroad. And so we are also here to offer solutions that will create a history that heals. I want to offer my brother and founder and CEO his statements. He cannot be here with us today, but I want to share his thoughts with you, and I want you to know that I echo these sentiments. Al Matthew says, we should avoid being a community that points fingers at one another. When turning on the news, we hear about shootings at schools, near schools, parks, and subways. We should encourage mindfulness, being mindful that those victimizing our communities are human beings with their own unique set of challenges, struggles, and experiences, who either haven't learned or been taught other ways to express themselves outside of violence. Violence is not normal, but we have to ask, why has it been normalized as the most dominant form of conflict resolution? Where has compassion gone for our fellow neighbors? Where are our leaders willing to step out other than organizations and inspire the young men today? These are our communities suffering. Or this is a deep hole for our young men to dig themselves out of. They have been misled and misguided and are in need of the leadership that teaches them how to handle their emotions and difficult situations. So together, let's lead with guidance that breathes life into purpose. This is a quote from our founder and CEO, Al Matthew. And I close in saying this. This is Women's History Month. And I take every opportunity to celebrate the beautiful and powerful women that are in the forefront of leadership. So I want to thank Assemblywoman Monique Waterman. I want to thank Councilwoman Farrah Lewis. I want to thank all the powerful sisters who are in the forefront of leading this charge. Free Daniel Favors. And she closes her show out every day with this. She says, find your purpose and see how it aligns with the needs of our people, and walk in it with your back straight. And then she says, tap into your Harriet Tubman, Marcus Garvey, Nat Turner love. And that is the love, Harriet Tubman, the love that teaches us more than we were taught not to. Marcus Garvey, to open up and create paths of resources for our people. And Nat Turner, to stand and to protect the sanctity and dignity of our people.
Today we did a press conference and a community shooting response. Unfortunately, there was a mass shooting on Saturday where 4 people were injured, 1 person dead at this time, 1 person in critical condition. We're still trying to get updates on that, on her condition as well. Enough is enough. When it comes to the black and brown community, we always got to fight on terminology. They always say multiple. This was a mass shooting. I introduced legislation to have the definition for mass shootings of 4 or more in a community, so this way activate resources. We need wraparound services, mental health resources, we need job readiness programs. The trigger is pulled when we don't have those resources. Then we see the physical trigger pulled on the streets, but there's so much more we can do to prevent incidents like this. So I'm calling on all my colleagues in government, from federal, from the governor, the mayor, everybody. We're going to work together. We need to deem this as a mass shooting, as it is a mass shooting. 4 people injured, 1 dead, 1 in critical, and we're still confirming her condition today. We need the resources now. Our kids matter, and we need to make sure that these groups that's on the ground, we have Assembly District 58 Public Safety Task Force, we have God Squad, we have EFV, we have BTTM, Drum, we have CAVI, all working together on the ground with no real funding to do this work, but we're out here today talking to the community members because there's a trauma. When someone gets murdered, there's a shooting, everybody thinks about their mortality. It could have been me, it could have been my family. So we're out here with our guide. Our task force came up with a resource guide, and we go over the mental health, the public safety, education, faith leaders, our small business and nonprofit, quality of life, all the resources that we would need. We could put it in a guide, so this way they know where to reach out to. We're not just out here talking about it. We're not just continuing doing press conferences. We are out here for action, and the action is making sure we get resources. This is a mass shooting, and I want all my colleagues in government for us to work together to get those resources activated when a mass shooting occurs in our community.
My name is Jamani Williams, Public Advocate, City of New York. I'm here with the junior advocate, my baby daughter Amani. You know, very often when we think about mass shootings, we have a very particular image in mind, and unfortunately it doesn't include the communities that are dealing with this on such a regular basis. And so we had a mass shooting here. 4 people shot without the gunman equals a mass shooting. And when you hear mass shooting, you often hear attention, you hear resources, you hear people saying we have to do something. It really shows the urgency of it, and it's happening right there here in this community. Since that mass shooting, other people have been shot. And so what we're saying now is, where is the plan to address the issues? We're 16 months into an administration that was supposed to really focus on this. And so right now we got to see the plan as we're going into the summer months where we know things unfortunately often get hotter. You got the state budget coming out in April, the city coming out in June, and what we should see is a mass infusion of resources to the communities who need it the most. As I mentioned, we did a report that showed the places that have the most gun violence had the most issues with housing, most issues with mental health, chronic absences, the most COVID deaths. That's not an accident. And so law enforcement alone can't solve all of those things. We need dedicated resources and coordination, and the budget should reflect that. Sadly, it never does. There's a narrative here that somehow law enforcement has been defunded and there's less people in jail, and nothing could be further from the truth. The law enforcement is one of the only agencies that has never been cut. And we have more people in Rikers now than we did before the pandemic, and we're still dealing with this issue. So it just goes to show, leaning on that alone is not going to keep us safe.
Well, first and foremost, I am Reverend Shannon, Program Manager for Brownsville Think Tank Matters / Drum. As we are presently standing at the site of a mass shooting that just took place on this past Saturday, where 4 people were injured. 1, unfortunately, succumbed to his injuries and died. And so it feels a little unresting standing in a space where such an occurrence happened, but also at the same time we're grateful to be here because we want to lend our voices, we want to lend our support, and we want to offer whatever resources that can be made available for the people in these residents that have been impacted by this, and even those who are responsible to help to try to shift cultural norms. Because as I said earlier, violence is not normal, but it's something that has been normalized as a means of conflict resolution or as a means of threatening people's lives. So I'm just grateful, along with the team, to be here to be able to address the issues at hand. What's not normal has been normalized, and so because it's so normalized, people are quick to go back to business as usual. And we have to understand that it cannot be business as usual, because something that occurs in our communities that impacts the totality of our community, if we don't lend voices to it, if we don't get out in the streets and become actively involved in changing that dynamic, then we are also the perpetuators of normalizing something that is not normal. It informs people of the various organizations, the assemblywoman who is on the ground in this community providing resources to help people to know that there are other ways, there are other means to deal with life issues, and if there's something that they might be in need of, then we're here to, give the information to make sure that the community is aware of the services that are provided.